Itisha, can you just call Prof. Gourav on the phone? You have the number. Professor Gourav,
The link is floating, but you cannot join it.
please, just taking a minute.
The streaming started on both platforms, Twitter and YouTube.
Shankar, you need to.
Yeah,
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
got it.
We are just waiting for.
So after
Okay.
Sanjeev
Professor,
ji, today will be Professor Gaurav Vallabh. If you want
get
to
the first question ready.
yes.
And I'll give a short introduction to Professor Gourav Vallabh. Professor Gourav Vallabh is a chartered accountant and a company secretary. He taught finance at HLRI Jamshedpur, and he has a doctorate in credit risk assessment. But today, as the INC official spokesperson, he's just coming in.
Welcome, Professor. We're glad to have you on Idea of Congress.
Today, as using you, today as National Congress, Indian National Congress spokesperson, Professor Gaurav Vallabh is known as the Congress spokesperson who routinely gets the better of BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra. So with that short introduction, welcome Professor Gaurav Vallabh. Welcome to this Idea of Congress Zoom meeting with National Youth Initiative members as well as IOCMs from Idea. Start with the question and answer session. Frida, our co-host, will read out the people who will be asking you the questions, sir. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Frida, please.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Is my voice is okay?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
very much, very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Ajit and the team and all the people who are here on the Sunday morning to discuss on one few important issues. I really appreciate that you had picked up a right topic and more a free flow of data or ideas should be there on this platform. So I'm ready for Q&A if you are having any. You can one by one raise your questions and I will try to answer. I'm not saying that I will answer all the questions because it may be possible I may not be knowing the right answers, but I will try to answer all the questions.
Thank you, Professor. Sanjeev ji, can you please have your first
Yeah,
question?
sure. Hi, hi, Professor Vallabh. I'm Sanjeev Batra here from AIPC Mumbai. And my question to you is, how can Congress win the heart of the Hindu heartland voters once again? This is critical if we have to make a comeback because the majority of the Lok Sabha seats are from there. And I don't see the Congress having any kind of presence at the present moment. So what would be the game plan you would advise the party?
Sanjeev ji, I'm just giving my own advice and my own feelings. See, the philosophy of the Congress is not Hindu heartland or non-Hindu heartland. That was never the philosophy of the Congress party in the past. And I think the only thing which got Congress the power is only the development orientation of the Congress party, the agendas of the poor people which we were addressing in the past, the policies by which the poor people were getting the benefit. I think that should be highlighted. And whenever we were not given the good majority or good numbers, there might be some reason at our end. I don't want to blame anyone else, but there might be some reason. If we will again go back to our own policies and philosophies which we were using for last 70 years or 100 years or 135 years from the time the Congress got as a political party. So our policy was what was our policy? Were we trying to have that this is Hindu heartland, Hindi heartland, this is non-Hindi heartland? We had never done this thing, and I think we should never enter into this. Our policy should be the India's heartland. Our policy should address the issues of India's heartland rather than Hindi or non-Hindi heartland. Now I will give you a few examples. Right now, there is a severe economic mess. Everybody is aware there is an economic mess. And because of this economic mess, everybody is losing the jobs, the GDP is down, the power of the common people to spend in the market is very low. So I think we should address those issues. Right now, like one example I will give you, Mr. Batra, and that is very important and interesting example, which will help us to understand that how people think. Like our students wing, our youth wing, our top leadership had started the NEET JEE issue. NEET JEE issue is not Hindi or non-Hindi, but I'm telling you, even because I was one of the first person who wrote the letter to the HRD minister. I think 1 week back or more than eight days back, I wrote a letter with a complete scheme of the things that how we can address. I am telling you, you check my Twitter handle, even the office bearers of the district BJP are saying, yes, we agree with you. You check my handle, and they, when I see them, they saying that I am the Mahanagar Palika General Secretary of Patna or Ranchi, and people are saying we agree. We have to pick up those agendas which affects the common people. We have to pick up those agendas which affect the Indian people. So I am of the belief that Hindi heartland instead of Hindi heartland. Sanjeev ji, I will like to enter into the India's heartland, because it is not Hindi or non-Hindi heartland or Hindu or non-Hindu heartland. It is something we had missed, that to measure the pulse of the people. Like I can give you 3-4 items. If we will pick up those items, we can enter into India's heart rather than Hindi heart or non-Hindi heart. Like employment, like economy, like students' issues. We had picked up the student issue. I can tell you that across the country, from Trivandrum to Srinagar, from Guwahati to Porbandar, people are with us. People are appreciating that what we are raising the point of JEE NEET, people are appreciating that this is a right concern. So we have to pick up our agendas. We have to pick up the issues, whatever the mainstream media says. I will give you another example, Sanjeev ji. Mainstream media is not interested in China and the Pangong Tso Lake and the Galwan Valley. But you do the survey. Do no need of any newspaper. You ask 3 people who are hardcore BJP supporter कि यार कुछ चीन की आर्मी आई है कि नहीं यार बताना यार आई है कि नहीं. वो कहेगा आई तो है. So who picked this agenda? Who had picked this agenda? Across the country, there was only one person, who was Rahul Gandhi, who picked this agenda, who was constantly behind this agenda, who was writing, who was posting videos on this. It was Rahul Gandhi. And lot of people at the mainstream media had tried that should not be the core agenda. It should not be highlighted. But ultimately, they were forced to highlight, because people had started discussing that. I can give you an example. When I started this NEET JEE 8 days back, no channel was interested to discuss. एक भी channel discuss करने की interest में नहीं था. But constantly started writing, hammering that issue. I can tell you, yesterday, day before yesterday, prime time channel debates of so-called Bhakt and Godi media were on the JEE NEET. So that is the power of the people, and that is the power of all of us, and that is the power of positive agenda, and that is the power of the agenda which affects the common people. I think rather than making a strategy of Hindi heartland and non-Hindi, I think we should be there to make the strategy for India's heartland. And I think if we can address India's heartland, lot of support we are going to get from the common people of our country, because common people are fed up. They are looking for the Congress. I will quote one statement, Sanjeev ji, and I like that statement. I was talking to one very senior journalist who is a Bhakt journalist. Bhakt. Sanjeev ji, Bhakt of the extreme level, top level Bhakt. He told me, he now, he gave me a statement, and I am repeating that statement, that people of India need Congress now. Because if Congress is not going to be powerful, the democratic values of India will be a big question mark. So instead of Congress needing power, now people of India needs Congress. So we have to come with our positive agenda. We have to come with our ideas. We have to come with those ideas which affect the people. And I am very clear. I can give you 3 ideas, and that affects everyone. Number 1, employment. We have to again and again ask that what you are doing on employment. And employment is the outcome of the GDP economy. I can talk on that issue because I'm a professor of finance. Number two, students issues, whether it's examination or quality of education, whether it's education policy. I agree that mainstream media is not interested in education policy, but every parent, every middle class is interested to discuss on education policy, because he is interested that where my child will be 10 years down the line, what will be the new outcome of the people getting out from the engineering colleges and medical colleges and business management institutes or the graduation institutes. He is interested in that. And the number 3, which I feel is the something which give empowering the poor, whether in the form of Manrega, or whether in the form of the Nyay scheme, or whether in the form of direct cash transfers. So if we are picking these 3 agendas, Sanjeev ji, I am telling we will enter into India's heart rather than Hindi or non-Hindu, or Hindu or non-Hindu, whatever terminology you had used. And I think for last 100+ years, Congress was doing the same thing. We should not enter into the polarization or appeasement issues or just to please the people, because public है संजीव जी, सब जानती है, उसको मूर्ख नहीं बना सकते आप. वो उसको पता है कौन सच्चा है कौन झूठा है, उसको पता है कौन ड्रामा कर रहा है कौन ड्रामा नहीं कर रहा है. I'm just giving an example. Right now when we are talking, there is on all TV channels, Man Ki Baat is coming or is telecasted. I am giving you one more sample data. You just dial some few friends of yours who are Bhakt and ask Man Ki Baat dekhi aaj. He will say nahi aaj main busy tha. And the same question if you ask 4 years back, he will give you Man Ki Baat sentences from the beginning to end, because people are fed up. What is this man and what is done and what is done? People are interested their baat rather than Man Ki Baat. Students are interested in the students ki baat rather than man or what is man or heart or soul, and these we are fed up with these things. Initially we got attracted, but now we are fed up. So we have to make our alternate agenda, and we have to work on that alternate agenda, and that alternate agenda should be on the premise of positivity. The alternate agenda should be on the premise of that how we are going to affect the common people or the masses of our country. If we are going to make that thing, I am telling you, the country is waiting for the Congress party.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Let me just tell you, Congress is already in my heart.
Thank you, Professor.
Have a next question, please. We don't have time. We are running out of time.
Mario, can I have your next question, please?
Good morning, Professor Vallabh. My name is Mario and I'm from Bombay. I'm a historian and an educator. Now, if one significant thing has changed over the last 20 years. It is how people access information. Now, increasingly, this is online and via non-mainstream sources. During the Vajpayee government, the main source of misinformation that we had to tackle as educators was in the RSS revised NCRT textbook. Now it is in thousands of WhatsApp forwards, which are mostly fake. Now we can't keep up, and an entire generation is growing up on this kind of hatred. How can the Congress party tackle this effectively?
Okay. Okay. Am I audible, Mario?
Yes.
Okay. Behind you, lot many books are there, so it gives me a very good feeling that that I am interacting with you guys who read lot many books, and some of the books I had gone through also, whatever title I can read from my video screen. See, misinformation doesn't have a long life. You are right that they tried to change NCRT syllabus. They tried to have their ideology enter into the minds of the young people of our country, but they miserably failed. Because misinformation doesn't have a life. You can create misinformation for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 3 months, 6 months, but misinformation doesn't have a life. You can always say, okay, we have few people who had participated in the movement of independence, but when we ask proof, and if you can't give us the proof, then people can understand that these guys are liars. So what I mean to say, we have to understand the way of communication, the way of interaction. Like I will give you, Mario, that 20-year back or 30-year back, the way my teachers used to teach me, I can't use the same pedagogy in the class today. Because my teachers used to beat me, my teachers used to get me punished, or they will throw me out of the classes. Can a school teacher do these things in the class? He has to maintain his class decorum, positive. He has to talk more politely. Rather than punishment, his approach is more of empathy and love. And that is the change. Second thing, my teacher used to have preamble, and then he will come to the core course, and then he will come to the application of the concept. Now, current teachers, if he will talk from the beginning, people are saying, "Kaam ki baat karo, kaam ki, man ki baat nahi, kaam ki." So you have to directly hit the agenda. Like there is no need of bhumika. Oh, preface hota hai na Mario, uski ab importance khatam ho gayi. You have to just hit that, okay, there is the employment. Why employment is falling? Why GDP started falling after demonetization and flawed implementation of GST? That's all. Everything is there. Rather than I giving my own opinion, people will say, I am a Congress ideologist. You believe in Congress idea. They don't believe. So rather than giving our opinion, we should ask a question that where is GDP? Why GDP started falling after demonetization and GST? Why we are having the unemployment rate of 9%, which was 2% in 2011-12? Who is responsible for this? Why we had reached to this level? We have to talk like this. Why in Manrega we are not getting the employment? Why? Who is responsible for this? Why after qualifying from a good engineering college, I am not getting jobs? Why the ESSER survey is telling that 80% of engineers are non-employable? So you have to question the issue rather than opinion. But I agree, Mario, झूठ की आयु, in Hindi I am making it, I hope you understand also, Hindi also, झूठ की आयु बहुत अल्प, बहुत कम होती है, क्योंकि कभी ना कभी पकड़ा जाता है. अगर मैं बोलूं, Mario, in front of you, that last year I was considered for the Nobel Prize in Economics. So you will say, right now you can say, okay, but you will find out that where was Professor Vallabh? Were he included? What was his contribution? What was his research paper? You can't fool the people. So I think, Mario, rather than questioning the WhatsApp and all those things, our focus should be on the new idea of communication. The new the idea of communication should be on the people, because you have to think the mindset of the young people. The mindset of the people, even Mario, if I will post 4 minutes video, nobody will see that. But if I will post 45 seconds video, everybody will see that. So you have to think like that. And I think if we are going to communicate our issues, common issues like this, whether whatever changes they are doing, whatever fake news they are making, it is not going to work for us.
Thank you, Professor Vallabh.
Joridas, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Joy. Please don't mind my background because I'm literally okay. So my question is that right now we do have good spokesperson for Congress and all who are in the studio and who are good in debates and all. But what I feel that is missing is that apart from being on the studio or on Twitter and all, there is a lot of good groundwork that is already happening by the Congress people. There's been good groundwork, but it is not being marketed at all, or it is being marketed in such a way that people are not able to know what exactly is happening. So, what exactly is Congress doing about that? One thing we all agree that BJP is very good in the marketing and PR.
Joy, yeah. I don't want to name any other party other than Congress party. And I don't want to make grievances. I'm telling you, and I know that mainstream media, the TV channels are not going to support us. That also I am very clear. If we are expecting that they will change, it is just expecting that Maria Sharapova will start playing the cricket. That's not possible. So don't expect something which is not possible. I can tell you one thing, that, and I gave this answer to Mr. Batra when he asked the first question. There is an alternative media, Joy, and we have to work on that alternative media. I will give you one example, and that's a contemporary example. Yesterday night, our NSUI president was detained by Delhi police because he was on hunger strike for last 4 days in front of the MHRD. Or now they changed the name MHRD, it is Education Ministry. I'm sorry. They may say, okay, we had changed, but you are making wrong because they had changed the name. So no media, no mainstream media had covered. But I can tell you, Joy, you just check the social media. Everywhere you will see the NSUI president or NSUI President Mr. Kundan was on hunger strike. Telangana president, Telangana NSUI president. I came to know from social media that he got hospitalized yesterday because of the hunger strike, because of the falling sugar level and the rising blood pressures. So, Joy, I think we have to work on this alternative media, which includes everything, which includes WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Insta, tweets, which includes everything. If we can develop on that, like Joy, I know they don't allow me to speak much. I started my YouTube, I post my YouTube. I know that there are initially not many people who are subscribing, but I am very sure that after 6 months, people will realize that this guy talks sense. This guy talks data. This guy talks about the people of our country. People will subscribe. So I think it is up to all of us, including this platform which Dr. Ajit had created. We have to work. We have to be a facilitator. We have to be a transporter of the ideas. We have to work as a facilitator to take the voices of the people to us and our voice to the people. So all of us has to work in that manner. And I can tell you, ऐसी problems आती है. ये अखबार, मीडिया, टीवी, सब पे आप अपना कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, पर मेरे दिमाग पे कैसे कंट्रोल करोगे, मेरे इस फोन पे कैसे कंट्रोल करोगे? हो ही नहीं सकता। इस फोन पे तो मैं जिसको चाहूं भेजूंगा, और सही सूचना भेजूंगा, राइट इंफॉर्मेशन टू द राइट पर्सन एट ए राइट टाइम एट ए राइट स्पीड. That is the purpose, that is the objective of this particular platform. So don't worry. ये टीवी वीवी, I come on TV, and Joy, you will be surprised. In my house, there is no news channel subscription. And I tell all my friends, rather than seeing me, you should watch good movie. गाने सुनो, मूवी देखो, ये टीवी देखना बंद करो, पुरानी पिक्चरें देखो, नई पिक्चरें देखो, धारावाहिक देखो, ईश्वर के धारावाहिक देखो, जो करना हो करो, पर ये न्यूज चैनल, मेरे पास एक भी न्यूज चैनल नहीं. You can come and check. So because I believe in this, and I know that this can change. And I know that if we are true, we are positive, we are coming with the agenda which affects the common people, then we can answer many things.
Before we go to the next question, I'd like to welcome Mr. Pawan ji also to the session. He will be taking the session after Professor Gourav. Okay, continue please.
Yes, Shantanu, your next question.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Good morning, Dr. Vallabh. I'm
morning, sir.
Shantanu Basu from Kolkata. You see, Modi has successfully created an alternative narrative of a fictional new India in which majoritarian politics is supported by brazenly what looks like Zionist economic notions, creation of private monopolies that he has helped by measures like demo, sale of state-owned assets, selective farming of natural resource permits and licenses, etc. On the contrary, we have the Congress interventions, which sound merely ad hoc on isolated incidents and often half-baked criticism that the BJP easily deflects. There is no effort by the Congress to pitch some sort of a national revival or national recovery plan against the BJP's New India scheme. Is the Congress working on such a plan in the run-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha election? If so, what is the plan for phased release of such a document? Thank you.
Shantanu ji, I agree with your sentiments. I agree with your concerns also. But 2019, it's not that we were not having any alternate recovery plan. We gave our recovery plan in the form of the Nyaya scheme. I admit in front of you that we were not able to explain that scheme to the ground level. I agree on that. There was some lacuna, but saying that there was no alternative plan by Congress party, I don't agree on that. We had a very strong alternative plan, and that alternative plan was, I can say, was the people believed in that particular plan, whomsoever we were able to convince, but we were not able to take that plan to the ground level. So we will be having an alternative plan. And as I told you, that right now, if you ask me as an individual, as a professor, I had only 3 alternative plans which I had shared. Number 1, a plan for the employment. Number 2, the plan for the education. And number 3, something for the upliftment or which caters the poor society, maybe in the form of Manrega or Nyaya or direct benefit transfer. So we have a plan, and before 2024 election, I can tell you that we will be having a plan. There is no doubt, there is no argument about that. And whatever we had the weaknesses about the penetration of that particular plan, we are going to overcome those particular weaknesses.
Thanks for your reply, Dr. Vallabh.
Thank you, Professor.
Am I through?
Shall we welcome Pawan ji? Frida, are we through with the questions for Professor Gourav? Frida, are we done with the questions for Professor Gourav?
audible, Frida.
Frida, your voice is not audible.
Okay. We'll start.
So, Dr. Ajit, should I?
Thank you, Professor Gourav. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time on a Sunday morning and be interacting with us. We will look forward to many more interactions like this, both with Idea Congress and with the newly created National Youth Initiative members, some of whom who are already here. And thank you so much for joining us. And I'd like to now welcome our Pawan Khera ji. Pawan Saab, are you here? Pawan Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'd like to have a small intro from Pawan Saab. Spokesperson of the Congress Party and was a former political secretary to Ms. Sheila Dixit, whom all of you know was the former Chief Minister of Delhi. Now, Pawan Khera ji is one of the most hard-hitting spokespersons of the Congress Party as a national spokesperson, and it's a privilege for us to welcome you here, sir. Over to you now. We will be starting with the question and answer straight away.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with you. I don't believe in opening remarks because let's get and it will be very interactive.
Frida, please ask. Please continue.
Yeah. Ji, please put yourself.
Next question can you?
I'll ask.
Yes, start, Geeta ji.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, Pawan ji.
Good
Are you
afternoon.
I am Geeta Seri. After a long time, we are able to talk one-to-one.
How are
Thanks
you?
to I'm fine, sir. How about you? My question to you is, how should we convince youth to connect? As we see, the youth is facing huge crisis. But in spite of that, we are not able to convert into Congress votes.
I think the problem lies as it was before the 2014 election. The problem lies in the fact that we, and I admit our shortcoming here, are unable to package our narrative. You know, there is a story, there is the way a story is narrated, and then there is a storyteller. Each one of us in the Congress, we are all there to tell the story. There is a story. The Congress had a brilliant story which was acceptable more or less across the country. Somehow, somewhere, I don't think we were able to completely re-articulate our story for the new generation. Over the last 1 decade or so, I have been watching this. Every decade or so, the Congress has successfully re-articulated a story for the new generation. But, well, we lost out on our re-articulation. We lost out on our communication. That's where the major challenge lies. And, well, along with others, I plead guilty for that. We need to pull up our socks. We can't keep blaming the BJP for peddling the kind of narrative they peddle. I mean, they do it, they've not started today. They have been doing this forever. Since 1925, since the ideology came into organizational being as RSS, they've been peddling the same story of Aryan supremacy, of Hindu Rashtra, of all kinds of, I would say, regressive ideas, but they don't make any bones about it. It's the difficult job is for us. The kind of passions hatred can evoke. Centrism, unfortunately, doesn't evoke that kind of passion, which is unfortunate, but it's true across the world. So BJP succeeds in evoking passions, in evoking absolute support. Centrism has this inherent challenge. how do you make centrism attractive? How do you, youth is passionate, youth is full of energy, youth is rebellious. Now, unfortunately, in the last 6 years, the rebellion of the youth, instead of being against the establishment, is still against the Congress, because BJP has successfully able to convince the youth of India that Congress is the Lutyens gang, the Khan Market gang, the establishment, the rulers, the ruling elite, what have you. Ask us, ask yourselves, look at your friends in the Congress. Are we in any case, in any manner, ruling elite? We've been struggling. But as I said, we need to pull up our socks and be better at our communication. Sorry for the longish answer. Spokespersons need to be shut up. You have to ask me to shut up because I'll continue talking.
No, thank you, Pawanji, for such an honest and a brilliant answer as expected from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shantanu?
Good afternoon, Mr. Khera. This is Shantanu Basu from Kolkata.
Good afternoon, Shantanu.
Good afternoon. I just have a question over here. The Congress spokespersons and Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself somehow come away in the public perception as armchair spokespersons operating from air-conditioned homes and party offices. Now, the Congress top leaders are usually visible only during election campaigns. But what is imperative is the need to extensively showcase a new young leadership and an alternative narrative to the BJP's New India in the shape of a national revival or a national recovery plan to the voter. Why can't the Congress use project 50 to 60 relatively younger, hopeful leaders assisted by local leaders to address people in small groups of 100 to 200 in each district for 3 to 5 days every month, say doing about 10 to 12 meetings per day of half an hour each? What steps is the Congress taking to identify fresh leaders without political parentage lineage to graduate beyond being keyboard warriors and TV panelists? I ask because it's another second part of the question. I just put both of them together.
Sure.
The Congress have proposed to extend its outreach, notably in the Hindi heartland that holds the key to government formation at the center. Thank you.
Shantanu, I completely agree with this suggestion of yours that we need to be all across the country addressing smaller groups on topical issues, all of us. But in defense of all my fellow spokespersons, some of whom you've already heard since morning, what else does a spokesperson, what else is he or she expected to do? We are meant to articulate the stand of the party on new and traditional media. And that's what we've been doing. Having said that, I personally come from an activist background, so I've had my share of non-air conditioned life. And I look forward to another, hopefully not so long period of struggle. I mean, I don't come from a traditionally political background. And thanks to Rahul Gandhi that he does appreciate talent. And I think it is only, and I can safely say that, under his leadership that people like me found our voice in the party. So, but yes, this suggestion of yours, Shantanu, you from Kolkata, are you?
Yeah.
So, I completely understand where you're coming from. Kolkata has a rich tradition of activism. Kolkata, I love that city, by the way, has a brilliant tradition of street politics, fighting it out, slogging it out, sweating it out. And I wish the rest of the country, most parts of the country, should learn this from Kolkata, and more so Congress party. Yes, of course, we need to be all out. Yesterday, I went to meet the NSUI activists who were sitting on a hunger strike regarding these examinations. And I realized it's a wrong charge on the Congress party that we are only keyboard warriors or we are only tele warriors. We are much more than that. Problem, yes, is, and I'm not blaming the media, much though I would love to. The problem is that we are not really getting the kind of support an opposition party traditionally gets from the media. Fair enough, that's part of our struggle, we'll fight that out too. But in 2014 elections, I remember, people would say, Congress doesn't know how to use the new media. Electoral and political battles are fought on the mobile phone and on iPad these days. Fair enough. We realized we were latecomers on that front. Now that we are there, we are told that, oh, you're just tele warriors, you're just keyboard warriors, you're not there on the road. Believe you me, Shantanu, we are on the keypad and on the roads of this country, absolutely there to pick up the right issues, to counter the false narrative, to defeat these forces who are sabotaging each and every institution of our country. Congress has never failed India, and I can promise you, Congress will not fail India.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Rahul Manoj Kumar, your next question, please.
Hello, Pawan Keraji. This is
Hello,
Rahul from Bangalore. My question is, how are we going to tackle the Hindutva virus of this BJP? I mean, the ideology they are using in the country, that is, are we going to kill our nation or unity and diversity to tackle this Hindutva virus? That's my question.
I wouldn't use the terminology used by you, and I wouldn't also agree with you. For the simple reason, Rahul, the 1952 election, the first election of this country, should have ideally gone against the Congress party, which was all for secularism, unity and diversity. 1952 passions were very high, communal passions were very high. 47 was very, very fresh in the memory. There were refugees across the country reminding people of what they've been through. Yet the country voted very wisely. What was the vote share of Jan Sangh? Hardly less than 5%. Or any other party sympathetic to the right-wing ideology. They were routed completely. It's not in the DNA of India to tolerate any extreme ideology beyond a point. I mean, I don't know how to explain it to anyone, including myself, but I can very safely quote from India's own history and tell you how India has attained a sense of balance, equilibrium in a period of maybe a decade or so, but it takes time. But then we do have this innate ability to attain equilibrium. So don't worry too much about the noises you hear on television and on your social media. Well, they are worrying. I'm not saying they're not worrying, but don't get carried away in that worry. Have faith, even if you don't have faith in the Congress party, much though I would like you to have faith in the Congress party, but have faith in the innate ability of your country. It's not without a reason that India has survived a lot of external influences. In fact, I would say India survived because of external influences also, not despite of external. India has this ability of absorbing a lot of good from other cultures. And therefore, I'm very proud when I say that both India and the Congress party have one thing in common. Both resemble a rainbow. So let the BJP try and paint the rainbow in one color. They won't succeed. India will not let them succeed. So don't worry too much about it.
Thank you so much, sir. I have always had faith in Congress and I'll continue.
I know that. Saroja, your next question, please.
Hello, Pawan Kheraji. So my question to you is, after the recent Bhumi Pujan, there was a lot of negative emotions that welled up within the minority communities. And, there were prominent leaders as well who added to the din. So this is a double-edged sword that Congress will have to deal with soft Hindutva that we are going to be showing. How do we deal with this?
Saroja, this question came to me during a television debate also, during the Ayodhya episode last month. Congress has been absolutely consistent in its stand on this particular issue. What was the stand? Through the 80s, the stand was, let's respect the court verdict. So when the Bhumi Pujan happened, the Shila Pujan happened, the locks were opened, everything was done through a court order. Because in a diverse country like ours, well, there are bound to be fault lines, there are bound to be conflicts, there are bound to be disputes. What is the ideal way of resolving a dispute, even if it is a dispute with your neighbor? The ideal way is to have a dialogue and arrive at a consensus. Well, there are times when dialogues don't succeed for various reasons. Then what is the next best option? Go to the police station, go to the court. And when you've reached the highest court of the country, honor the judgment. Who was inconsistent in the entire Ayodhya episode? I remember I was a child protesting against Mr. Advani in Udaipur in Rajasthan when the Rath Yatra came. And I remember there was BBC interviewing Mr. Advani and we were showing him some black flags. He said, it's a matter of faith. What has the court got to do with a matter of faith? Then I take you back to the Palanpur resolution of 1989. Read the last paragraph of the Palanpur resolution. They reiterate that it's a matter of faith. Courts have no jurisdiction when it comes to faith. And that's not how a democracy can function. A national political party during those days also had national ambitions, got away with saying that it's a matter of faith and courts have no jurisdiction. Congress, despite electoral defeats, stuck to its ground that, well, if there is a dispute, let the courts settle and we'll honor what the courts say. We've maintained this right through. It's the BJP which then changed its stand when it realized that, well, people of India are not fools. They will not tolerate this kind of hooliganism. The BJP over the last 5 or 6 years, 7 years, started talking in the same language, saying, okay, let the courts decide. So accusing the Congress of soft Hindutva or whatever you want to call it, I don't agree with the terminology again, is historically incorrect. You see the stand of the Congress and you realize we've always been steadfast on our stand. It's the BJP which was inconsistent.
Thank you, Pawanji. Amal Chandra, your next question, please. Amal, are you there? Okay, Siptan Shah from Srinagar.
Yes.
Please carry on with your question.
My question to Pawan Khera ji is, why not make Rahul Gandhi as permanent president of the AICC, as BJP gets hurt making him president?
No, we won't take our decisions based on how the BJP reacts to our decisions. As the oldest political party in India, we have our own mechanisms. We have our own systems of choosing our leadership, and we are very proud of those systems. These are time-tested systems. BJP, of course, since you brought them up, I don't need to compare the BJP with the Congress, but show me one president of the BJP. No, I understand. I understand what your question is.
Basically, people see only one opposition right now, that's Rahul Gandhi, none other than that.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why you see the constant attacks on Rahul Gandhi.
Yes.
Since 2013-14, BJP and the entire ecosystem of the BJP has been personally attacking Rahul Gandhi. I mean, hats off to that young man who's braved it all. It's not easy.
We can sing one-man army right now.
One-man army. It's not easy for anyone to face the kind of attacks the BJP and its ecosystem launched against Rahul Gandhi.
So can you
personally feel very upset about these attacks?
So can you tell me the systematic way in which we can have a perfect president for the next 2024 elections? As we have more seniors right now. Ghulam Nabi Azad, I'm from Srinagar, J&K. Currently, I'm as a youth secretary of J&K Youth Congress, and we have like Ahmed Patel, etc. So, whom you prefer as which will be the perfect for 2024 elections?
as you saw the CWC resolution, as I said, parties have their mechanisms and their systems. The Congress party has its own system. Last week, you saw the CWC, there was a resolution, and there was a time frame given that during this period of time, there will be a new president following the mechanisms which the party always follows. So you should not have any doubts as a party which is I would say a very, people accuse us of not being a cadre-based party, fair enough. India is not a regimental country. We don't need regimental organizations across the country. I'm very proud of the robustness of the party with which each one of us brings to the party, even if we are not cadre-based. So as a robust party, there are voices which people label as voices of dissent. No, these are concerns. Everybody has a right to raise his or her concerns. There are platforms available. That's the only point where I differ from people who go public with their grievances, that there are platforms available within the party. I mean, CWC is one such platform where they should voice their concerns, and they do voice their concerns. Their concerns do get addressed. So I don't see a point of going public with any of your concerns, whoever you are. Having said that, I also feel that it is a robust organization where people do have the freedom to speak out, and they exercise that freedom. Show me one man who will speak out against Amit Shah and then still go for a morning walk the next day.
No, that's. I have a last point. My point is, if India AICC gets 4 working presidents, one from north, one from south, one from east, one from west, with full working president powers, but AICC president will remain as it is, but for north, south, east, west will be a separate one. What's your take on that?
I would, whatever the CWC and the AICC decide. AICC is a fairly I'm also a member of the AICC. We have about 2,000 members. So let the AICC take a call. At the end of the day, in a large democracy like India, you cannot have moribund organizations like the BJP. So in our case, let the AICC take a call. Individually speaking, I don't think I have the prerogative, or none of us individually, whatever posts we have in the party, are not entitled to assert what I think is right, or articulate what I think is right or wrong, because at the end of the day, it's a collective decision and it will be made collectively.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Radhika, please come on next.
Hello, this is Radhika Burman from Kolkata. As a matter of fact, Congress is far more underrated than underestimated. The media has played an essential role in cutting the voter base for Congress. So what can be done in order to eliminate the influence of a sensational media on common public?
Sorry, your voice was not too clear. Can you please repeat your question, Radhika?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hello? Louder, yeah.
As a matter of fact, Congress is far more underrated than underestimated. The media has played an essential role in order to cut the voter base for Congress. So what can be done in order to stop this influence of a sensational media over the common public?
You know, the media, even during the British rule, was not so much against the Congress as it is now. Even in the British rule, the Indian media played a very responsible role in questioning the British government's policies towards Indians. It is a misfortune of our country when you see today's media behaving like slaves of the government. But as I said, this is, Radhika, a part of our struggle. We will complain, yes, we will come to your courts and keep complaining that the media is not playing a proper, a correct role as it should in a democracy. But we won't stop at complaining. We'll continue with our struggle and we'll make sure that India wins despite its media.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, your question was longer than my answer.
Dr. Ajit,
So there's a question. Itisha, can you please read out the question from the chat box?
Yes, sure. Good afternoon, Pawan Kheraji. I'll read out the question for Amal. Amal is absent. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are, Itisha.
How could we re-strategize the Congress to turn into a cadre-based party and retain a strong mass base? Has the CWC so far adopted any strategy for that? This
Tell
is
me,
a question asked by Amal.
yeah, I would like to convey to him, do we need a political party in the country, or we need an army fighting elections? Why should political parties be regimental? Now, I have a fundamental problem with regimental organizations. This is not undermining the role of having a proper hierarchical system that we have, but only to a point. Beyond that point, if my party were to goad me into doing things or not doing things from morning to evening, come for a shakha at 4:45 in the morning, after the shakha, and in the shakha behave in a particular manner, wear a particular dress, talk in a particular language, have a particular cup of tea, then go to a particular house, discuss a particular agenda. I'm sorry, that's not me. That's not India. That's not how Indians like to lead their lives. Now, this notion of RSS is a very imported notion. It's not Indian, of trying to goad everyone into uniformity, standardize everything, homogenize everything. India cannot be and should not be and must not be homogenized. I mean, look at the colors on the screen. I mean, it's a beautiful screen I can see. I can see Mario wearing a beautiful pink. I can see Radhika wearing great prints. I can see Ankit wearing a lovely blue. Blue is my favorite color. I can see Sanjeev Batra wearing a, well, I don't know what color it is, but it's a beautiful color. And look at Bismi Krishna. Look at John Rodriguez. Look at you yourself, Itisha Madhav, Poonamji. So that's what India is. Having said that, there is always a need for some order in a family, in a society, in an organization, and in the country. Now, where does it stop? Where does it start? Is for the organization to decide, keeping in view the way, the essential, the fundamental nature of your ecosystem, your country, your society. I think Congress is the closest to how India thinks, to how India is. And therefore, therein lies the secret of the fact that 54 or 60 years out of 70, Congress was elected, and it will continue to get re-elected to govern the country, because Congress understands India and India understands Congress. BJP is an aberration.
We'd like to welcome Dr. Mohamed.
Welcome, Dr. Shama. Thank you, Pawanji. Thank you. It was a very nice session with you. And we
Thank
hope
you.
to see
Thank you, and welcome, Shama. And I think I should write off now. Thank you so much. I enjoyed my session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Ajit, can you introduce Dr. Shama, please?
I think Dr. Ajit, we've lost him. I'll continue. Good afternoon, Shama ji. Am I audible to you? Good afternoon, Dr. Shama. Afrida, am I audible? Have we lost?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
we have lost
Yes.
Dr. Ajit. I'm not sure whether we have lost Dr. Shama as well.
I think we lost both of them.
Okay.
Reconnect.
No, connect.
Dr. Shama is there, right?
Dr. Ajit, your voice is cracking.
Itisha, Dr. Shama is there, right?
Dr. Ajit. Dr. Shama has to unmute herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. I'll introduce you on behalf of IOC and YNs.
Otherwise, we can have, if Dr. Shama is not there,
I am there.
we can welcome in.
I am there.
Okay, great. I'm calling you out. Okay.
Dr. Ajit, you're mute. Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you, Hitisha. I'd like to welcome first Dr. Shama Mohamed and then we'll go straight into the question and answer session. Dr. Shama Mohamed is a dentist by profession and is a national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Dr. Shama is a champion of several social causes and is a trustee of the Zoya Charitable Trust, an NGO which works for the underprivileged in society irrespective of caste, creed or political affiliation. So people from Idea of Congress and National Youth Initiative, it's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Shama Mohamed, one of the most dynamic spokespersons of the Congress Party. Over to you, Dr. Shama, and question and answer session will start.
So first and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Ajit for inviting me here. And of course, the rest of you all over here, also to thank you for all for hosting this also. I'm delighted to be with amongst my Congress supporters. Now, I'm not going to talk much because I think you wanted more of a question answer session and we have a short, just half an hour. So I'm just going to give you just a small brief. Every time what I see is that a lot of people accuse us or we are not nationalists and there's a party here which is national, what is nationalism? Does anybody know what is nationalism? Is about, not just about saying trophy, putting out a trophy and say, we are a nationalist party. How do we become nationalists? Or how do we attain nationalism? It's completely different. Now, for example, let's talk about Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress came up during the freedom struggle. We fought for it. We fought the freedom struggle. There was no party at that point of time. Even the Hindu Mahasabha came in later, but they were not ready to fight against the British. We fought the freedom struggle. We fought against divisiveness. We fought for inclusiveness. We fought for civil rights. We fought for social justice. Now, this is what is nationalism about. This is being proud of belonging to a party, of your country. We not only aim to go to the moon, but we have also gone to Mars. Let's not forget all this. And we are not a failed state today. Why? When you compare us to our neighbor Pakistan. Why is that a failed state? Because the state is based on religion. I strongly believe in Nehru's ideology that state and religion should be separate. We have seen that in Europe. Initially, the church was basically the state. They separated the church from the state, and that's when Europe started advancing. So that's the same thing. Nehru knew at that point of time, after partition, a hell would break out if we became a religious state, because the Muslims had come in from Pakistan, and many Muslims from here did not want to go to Pakistan. There were Muslims over there, and many of us, like my own family, we all stayed back here, my forefathers. So, and if he got in religion at that point of time, it would be a disaster. So what did he do? He gave a scientific temper to the whole thing. And that's why we have developed so much. Our IITs, AIMS, education, steel power plants, dams, everything for the development of the country was the most important thing. And when you compare then and now, you see a huge difference. What is happening right now? The focus is all about how to make it back, get it, or I can't say it's back, but get it into a religious state. Religion is the core, but then all the other things are abandoned. Look what's happening right now. What about the jobs? I spoke to a couple of youth before coming to this program, and I said, what is the most important thing for you all today? And they said, Madam, jobs. There are no jobs. You know that 12.2 crore jobs were lost after lockdown, and then 2 crores of well-paid salary jobs are lost. Can you imagine what those families are going through? EMIs, You know how a normal household is. There's an EMI on the car, there's an EMI on the flat, many other things. Many people do not have food on their table. School fees, which is also private schools, many of the children go to. So this is one of the most important thing. But what do you see? What is out there on channels? It's about Sushant Singh Rajput, and who was murdered. Now it's become a murder case more than a suicide. So that is what is important today. And always remember, one thing I want to say is Congress got its nationalism by fighting in the trenches, not like BJP through PR. Always remember that. The Congress party fought for the country, and it's got its nationalism through the trenches, not like the BJP, which has got it through PR. That's something which you all have to remember. And that's what I wanted to say a few words, because I do not want to take so much of your time in the introduction. And most of the things I would also like to say are there in the questions. So then I would elaborate it over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamaji. Poonam Bharadwaj, please start your question.
Good afternoon.
You have to speak a bit louder. Huh?
Okay. Good afternoon, doctor. My question is, how much are you going to work, especially for Mahilas, to contest for elections in the respective states when they are not given a chance, even when they are right candidate?
Okay. Now, I'm going to speak on a lighter vein first and then go to your question. So today, as Dr. Ajit Kumar knows, that I was the last panelist. I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose. And it was just like that. And then I called him. I said, you know, Dr. Ajit, I'm the only woman panelist on this. How do you make me as the last person? This is not done. And he immediately took up, and that's what I admire about him. He immediately took up the issue. And a gentleman came forward, who was the next panelist, and gave me his spot, which was at 12:30. And he took the 1 p.m. 1 o'clock spot. You know. So that's one of the small things. But yes, I have been fighting for this. I believe, I agree with you. We are 49% of the population and men are 51%. And I come from a state called Kerala, which has got more women to men. And I've already started fighting over there. I assert myself as much as I can when I'm on the stage, because in a gathering on a stage for the Congress party in Kerala, the women are at the last, you know, just supplementary things at the end of the, you know, that's a start, because I am not an elected MLA, member of parliament. I'm not in the government. I'm sorry, I'm not in any of these positions, a general secretary or anything. I'm a spokesperson for the party. I'm not in the organization level. So I've started asserting over there itself. I said, this is not done. We are a state with more women to men, and we need women participation, women representation. So I think the most important thing for women is we need to assert. That is what I tell all women I meet. Assert yourself. Unless and until you assert, if you show fear, they will know, okay, I see that, let's push her down there. No, assert yourself and say, I have a voice, this is me, and that's very important. Also, one very important thing is women should come together. I think very important, I find, is when you see a woman who's doing well, appreciate her. Whether it's my colleague, whether it's a senior, anybody, that's what I do. I go and say, you're doing a fantastic job. And I think that's very important. Women should not think, should not be insecure, is another thing. So yes, I try my best whenever I see issues, even in my hometown in Kerala, I bring it up with the DCC president over there. And I said, you know, this particular person is doing better than the other person. Why don't we try and give her a better position? You know, that is what I try. And I agree with you that I will, if I'm given a position, see to it that there are more women, especially since women are much more transparent. And I think, no offense to men, but they're good at governance too. We are a country who have had the Congress party, in fact, gave the first woman prime minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, first woman speaker, Meera Kumar, first woman president, Pratibha Patil. I mean, and of course, we have a woman president of our party, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, for the last 23 years. So that is the Congress party. Women are kept there. If you, unlike the Bharatiya Janata Party or any other party, we have, of course, I think, and let's not forget the bill in Parliament, 33% representation in the Lok Sabha as well as assemblies is taken up by Mrs. Gandhi for a long time. We passed it in the Rajya Sabha, but unfortunately we couldn't in the Lok Sabha since we did not, our alliance partners did not agree. Then it went to this government, but it's lapsed. I mean, Mr. Modi talks about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, but where is women representation? It has lapsed. He could do it. He has a majority in the Lok Sabha. and Rajya Sabha almost. So it's easy for him to pass this bill, 33% representation. So if he really means it, he should do it. We tried. So that's what I can say. In the Congress party, we try as much to promote women and give a voice to them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shama. Next question is from myself. I'm Frida Nicholas from Mumbai.
I've seen a lot of your posts. I keep reading in the ideology. You and Itisha, all of them. I've keep seeing your messages, but of course I haven't met you all. So I'm kind of familiar when you say Frida.
Thank you, Doctor.
And I'm so happy. I see so many women today. Really
Yes.
very happy to see women.
And that is thanks to Dr. Ajit. He really promotes us, encourages us, and backs us. So thank you, Dr. Ajit too. So Dr. Shama, my question to you is, while reclaiming the heartland votes is the focus, I refer to INC's position in the
Can you speak
MV
a bit louder, Frida? Your voice is very low. I don't know why, but I could hear the other person very well.
Okay, I'll repeat my question. So while reclaiming the heartland votes is our focus, I refer to INC's position in the MVA, specifically Maharashtra, which was once a total INC domination. Today, though it has kept us in power, we are insignificant in major decision making. Regional satraps are capturing our space and consolidating on it. So what are we doing on this, keeping in mind that Assam, Bihar, West Bengal are shortly going to polls?
See, I don't agree on that part that we are regional satraps. Now, look, we formed the government. We had our issues, of course, when we were fighting the elections. But Frida, we were part of the government, which and we still do have power. I live in Maharashtra. All of our leaders, including Ashok Chavan and all of them in the Mr. Thorat, all of them are doing quite well in this. This is, see, always remember, I want to talk about what is this, fear thing. One is that first and foremost, this BJP comes out and say there is an unstable alliance here. The Mahavikas Agadi is not functioning well. There are so many problems. So I personally spoke to people in the Maharashtra government. I said, you know what? They said there are no problems. They want to create an atmosphere like Madhya Pradesh. And then they want to form the government without the people's mandate. This is what is their plan. So this is what we need to fight. This ecosystem of theirs, of where they talk about, see, what we need to counter very importantly is this ecosystem, where all these messages go out, messages are given to, for example, I'm going to take an example of Sushant Singh Rajput's death, right? Now, what was it? It was a suicide. Right? Now, almost everybody, I've got a call from the United States from my friend who was a classmate in my dentistry. And she said, Shama, what is this happening? I said, it's just been, can you imagine? So people are engulfed by this thing because what they do is they have an ecosystem and they make people which are not close to them, basically, outwardly not close to them, which amplify their voice, So, like when you go to YouTube, you will see a number of stories on Sushant Singh Rajput, but it is not by a BJP spokesperson or a BJP worker or any of those. It will be just general people. So what happens is they are perceived not close to the party, but they amplify their voice. And that is what we need to do. We need to counter this very well. So most of the time it's a lie, but when you keep saying the lie, you have the media support and you have these voices. And I'll give you one good example. When Rahul Ji was going with the Rafale itself, the Rafale corruption case, it's not just about me speaking on it or the spokespersons or the others. People, around, for example, you can take it up and amplify it. Speak to, make it on YouTube, see a tweet of one of ours, keep spreading it on WhatsApp, keep spreading it on as many platforms possible. That's how we amplify. Do not have fear. That's the most important thing. Just stand your ground, like Rahul ji stood his ground. You have to stand your ground with these people. They have no logic. That's why, see, if there was logic now, what would be the actual questions asked by all the people? They'd be asking, what is happening to our economy? We don't have food on our plate. What's happening? China has invaded our country. Can you imagine if we are in government and these things have happened? So, of course, we need to amplify this. And it is where all Congress supporters are important for us. And I believe it is, when Ajit told me this, Dr. Ajit, I just jumped at this opportunity. I said, because they are the main part of the Congress party. You people support it without anything, because for the love of the party, to see the party back in power. And for me, you are the greatest asset to the party.
Thank you, Dr. Shama. Bismi, can I have your question, please?
Yeah, sure. Dr. Shama. Hi.
Bismi Krishna. Wow, what a name is that?
Yeah, actually, my father put this name purposely. He was a Congress leader here from Kerala. Okay,
Oh, you're
so
a Malayali. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Malayali.
Very, very nice name, I must say. I'm very intriguing. Quite okay.
Yeah, okay. So here my question is, as a spokesperson, I know it is very tough job, okay, to convince people, argue with your different ideology people. So what are the challenges you face to reach out public? Or what would be the ideal way you want us, the true Congressies, to help you?
Yeah, so the challenges which we face are basically we are on television, we are on debates mainly, or we tweet, or we give out a video. We want you to, what exactly, see everything, the questions are connected, amplify it. Just see how BJP amplifies each of their words. Or, there's a particular topic that day. It is spread all over, on all social medias. Yes, we also have to do a lot in that. Our social media part has to do much more. Counter all WhatsApp messages. I believe we have to be one. Congress cannot be, oh, if there is a WhatsApp, why should we help that person? Let her not rise. Let him not rise. That should not be the attitude. We think about the party. We think about the country. We need to rise now, because if we do not rise now, this country is going to the dogs. Let me be very clear. We have to be one. So what I would want personally from y'all is that whenever there is a tweet or something Rahulji says, like, for example, the other thing which he said is the COVID, he warned Harshvardhan, Dr. Harshvardhan, February 12th was the exact date that, be careful, we need to fight against this. Harshvardhan ridiculed him. Today, what is Dr. Harshvardhan saying? We have to take this seriously. That was a statement yesterday. I tweeted on that. I think everybody should take on such a thing and then start spreading this message on what Rahulji was right. You get what I'm trying to say? This is where you help the leader, because spread his message. He was ridiculed. And now their own health minister is saying that, we have to take this seriously. When we have gone more than 30 lakh cases, more than 60,000 deaths, and per day is more than 70,000, the number of new cases. So that is what I would say is, as a spokesperson, we need your support. I see that on WhatsApp, that you all are supporting us. And also one more thing I want to add is, which I personally did not like, is we were attacking, a lot of our people were attacking NDTV, which I think was very wrong. Because a news channel could be wrong in getting the source of the news. Always remember that was a channel which was standing with us. Most of this, they were raided also, but still they stood for the truth. And then going on and, I saw on social media attacking them is not right. When you're attacking Republic, very good, keep attacking. But, and also, I personally believe that getting out videos of, what's his name, the Republic head, Arnab, is we are giving him more publicity. So I'm completely against it. He wants it. So you have to understand that. He does all these things like drugs, mujhe drugs chahiye, whatever, recently. He wants the attention. He wants it. And he knows all the Congress people will start putting it out. Don't do it, is my personal advice, is don't give him any attention, ignore. That is what you should do. And recently, on a Malayalam channel, I had said something which was not at all offensive regarding China. I just said that why is Prime Minister, something about China. Why doesn't Prime Minister take China's name but takes the name of Pakistan? Because it's a Muslim country. And there's nothing wrong in what I said. But they amplified it. Sambit Swaraj took it up. And it went on for 2 days, but I was quiet. Because why should I answer to these people? It is right. It is there on live TV. I did nothing wrong. So it went quiet.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I have your question, please, Captain? Okay, I seem to have lost Sipton. I shall repeat his question, Dr. Shama.
Okay.
Hi. No,
I think he's back. I
audible
can
now?
hear him. I can see him.
Yes, Ciptan, please go on.
Hope you are fine. So there are two questions of mine. The first question is, if the basic structure of Congress is secular, why was Hindu appeasement done by Kamal Nath, Digvijay Singh and Priyanka Gandhi on inauguration of Ram Temple? As we have secular structure, there are 99% of chances of losing Muslims in our party, especially talking of my Jammu and Kashmir. As it's very difficult for us to get votes here, a leader should make the sensible comments. What's your take on it?
See, I cannot talk what Kamal Nath said, but I can say what Rahul ji said and also Priyanka ji said. That I have the Rahul ji's tweet exact over here. He said, Maryada Purushottam, Lord Ram is the manifestation of the best human qualities. They are the core of humanity in the depths of our mind. Ram is love. They can never appear in disgust. Ram is compassion. They can never appear cruel. Ram is justice. They can never appear in injustice. So there is nothing which is appeasement in any of these. All right. And from Indira Gandhi's time, she's been going to temples. And nobody showed it out in media. It's something normal. If you're a Hindu, you can go to a temple. I don't think there is anything wrong. One more, Sipton, let me finish before you continue. You want to ask me something. Now, you have over here an atmosphere which has been created saying that Hindus have been persecuted. That is what the atmosphere which is created by the present Nationalist Party, that Hindus have been persecuted, unlike in Israel. The Jews were actually persecuted, but Hindus were not persecuted. It is, they have made something up like this. So what happens is, this is something which is illogical. And to fight this, you have to fight through emotively, because scientific tempo will not work here. It has been created right now, all right? So we need to, of course, we accept the Supreme Court judgment. It's a Supreme Court judgment. You have to understand that. But there is no appeasement in this. There is, and there is another case going on the 30th. I think there is going to be a verdict regarding the vandals, which the Supreme Court clearly says in their judgment, the vandals vandalized the mosque. So that also is coming out. And another thing, since you're from Jammu and Kashmir, you also have to ask one question, because one should also look inward. Why there is so much of radicalization? You know, I'm a Muslim myself. So you have to answer that. That is something which is upsetting a lot of people in our
Radicalization is
country.
it's all because the politics.
I don't know if it is about politics, because I don't completely agree with you. I think a lot of the radicalization has come because your state was a Sufi state, if you're not wrong. Okay. How have people changed? Now, I have people from Jammu and Kashmir women. They said, if I do not put on if I don't cover my hair, you know, it is not right. They don't let us walk around. And I can give you one of my own experience when I was in Kerala, is that I was buying fruit. And I was told by the lad over there, and I'm a practicing Muslim. Maybe people think otherwise, but I am somebody who prays, fasts, and does everything what a Muslim has to do. And then when I was growing the fruit, if there is a Malayali here, they will understand. The person told me, Bismi could understand that, is that, Chechi, what else do you want? So Chechi is somebody for an elder sister in a Hindu way of accessing. So I asked him, why are you calling me Chechi? He said, you're not putting on your head. I said, how dare? Which is the verse in the Quran which says the woman has to put on her head? There is no verse. There is only one Surah Al-Nur, which says, take your headgear and cover your bosom. You know, that is the exact words. And there is nowhere which says punishment is there if I do not cover my head. So these are the things which we need to also clarify from our side, that yes, those who want to put on their head, it is very good, up to them, but do not point fingers at someone like me. So we should also look into the radicalization part, is what I believe.
Well, we have. I have a same point on this question. We have a constitution structure on preamble that is secularism.
I agree with that. We are secular.
Yeah.
Congress Party is secular.
Why?
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Dr. Shama, I think lost him. Rizwan Sheikh from Goa has a question for you. So Rizwan's question is, when I was in school in 1982, we had a set of leaders in Goa like Rane, Falero, Sardinha. As I moved into college, we added Ravi Naik and Churchill. Last month, I celebrated my 50th birthday. The leadership is the same. Why can't we find new faces?
See, that is also up to the Goan people. Now, you can't always blame the party. Now, there are a lot of leaders in the Bharatiya Janata Party. Shivraj Singh Chauhan has been there for so long. He's again the 4th time Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. So it is up to now. You can't take one example of a state and compare with it. I can talk about my state. So many new leaders have come up. The members of parliament, we have a young IB Eden. We have many others who have come up like this, young people coming up. And in our assembly, basically, in Kerala, a lot of, Dr. Ajit can also tell you about it. A lot of young MLAs are there in there. Shafi, Parambil, I can take many more names. They're all very young, in their early 30s. So, of course, the change also has to come from the people. So there is, so one example, and the reason could be also the fact that they do well. That could be the other reason. And Manohar Parrikar was there for a very long time. And I'm sure, unfortunately, he passed away. But if he did not, he would still be the Chief Minister of Goa, isn't it? So it is about how each state functions, and cannot blame a party for it, because everywhere it is, in each state it changes. We have seen changes in other states, the Congress states, like you have a Bhupesh Bagal in Chhattisgarh. So there has been a change over there. So, let's not always fault with the Congress party. That is the most important thing. And fight as one.
Thank you, Dr. Shama. We've had a very nice session with you. I personally thoroughly enjoyed our interaction.
Thank
and
you.
I'm looking forward to your patronage, for our National Youth Initiative and all through.
I will always be there with you all. But the most important thing is, please amplify the voice of the Congress spokespersons, leaders, and don't abuse. We are not BJP. We do not abuse. Let's be amplifying the voices. That's the most important.
Shamaji.
Be without fear. That's the most important.
Shamaji.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you one quick point. Is it possible for you to follow us on Twitter? Because we are all pro-Congress voices.
Yes, if you are, I look at the tweets. There are people who are, sometimes I do not like abusive things. Of course, I will follow you. Whoever, I don't know, Mr. Batra, I can see your name.
Yes.
There are no issues of me following you. So I do follow people. Ask Dr. Ajit, I have followed, there are many Congress supporters I follow, but they have to be sensitive. They keep coming on my main page. So they should be sensible tweets. When I see abuse, I immediately stop following the person.
Shamaji, I used to write one-liners for Amul ads. So my tweets always laced with humor.
Okay. Mr. Batra, just send me a link. I will show you.
I will. Thank you.
I don't have anything.
Appreciate
I told you, I will support you also from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shama. Thank you so much, Shama, for taking your valuable time here with us on this Sunday morning. It was so nice of you, and you've spoken your heart out, and hope you will continue to be in touch with us. We will call you for one-to-one interactions with us, especially for our youth wing, which we have just started off, the National Youth Initiative. I'm sure they'll look forward to interaction with you, one-to-one interactions with you as well.
Thank you so much for having so many women. I appreciate that. No, more women. We need more women voices. I will fight for it. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for that.
Bye.
Thank you. We will now welcome Brijesh Kalappa ji, who is our next speaker. Brijesh ji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. I'll have a small intro for you, and then we'll start straight away into the question and answer section. Brijesh Kalappa ji is a good friend of mine from Coorg, very vociferous, very honest, straightforward, down to earth. Reach out to him if you have any issues. Now let me get on to the intro. Brijesh Kalappa is an advocate in the Supreme Court of India and is a legal advisor to the government of Karnataka. That was earlier with the rank of Minister of State, and former additional Advocate General of Haryana. He has a sustained interest in public affairs even from his student years. He is a former journalist, which many of you may not know, and has a wide range of interests including reading and traveling. On the professional front, he has worked with several legal luminaries on subjects of importance in civil, criminal, water and electoral laws, and has individually represented governments, eminent individuals and major industrial houses. He is gifted with a prowess for distinctive sharp-edged analysis and the advantage of surmounting well accepted beliefs by his inquiring nature. He is the spokesperson of the Indian National Congress and one of the most dynamic ones too. Thank you, Brijesh, for sparing your time to be with us. Now the floor is yours. The question and answer session will start. Rita, please.
Welcome, Brijesh ji. We have Radhika Barman, a very young girl, ready to question you. She's a budding journalist too.
Hello, this is Radhika Burman from Kolkata. Now, the Congress has been saying that they are just respecting the Ayodhya verdict given by the Supreme Court, even though they are not in favor of the demolition of the Babri Mosque. So, is Congress here using the SC verdict as a default deterrent of defense in order to avoid controversy because of the very sensitivity of the issue? Or do they really think that SC verdict is correct? Is the SC being respected here only for superiority?
Radhika, I don't think you should assume that the Indian National Congress is removed from society. Indian National Congress is very much part of Indian society, and we must never, say that we don't keep the sentiments of the Indian people in mind while we act and when we take decisions. Because we are not a structure which is robotic in nature. We are not artificial intelligence. We are very, very rooted to Indian society, and I think it's very important for us to remain definitely clued in to what is happening, to what our neighbors are saying, to what people around us are saying, to what the writing on the wall is. And the writing on the wall is what we have all seen in the form of the A.K. Antony report, which said that the Congress party has today become a party which represents only one community and not every other community of India. So this is the writing on the wall. So if you're going to say that, look, as a party, we should remain away from what the national sentiment is, I don't, perhaps don't agree with you. I think it's very important for a political party to be clued in and to be fully, to take into consideration what is in the national mood and the national spirit. Therefore, I think what the Congress party is doing is keeping that in mind. You must remember the Congress party itself has had no hand, absolutely, in any of the illegalities you have mentioned, right? And if today there is a structure which has been sanctified, which has been accepted by the Supreme Court, and if the largely the mood is for a temple, then if there are people who believe in the Hindu religion and who believe that the temple has come up and therefore we must pay obeisance to the temple, then so be it.
Thank you.
Hima, can you please ask your question? Bismi, could you please read out Hima's question?
Hima is getting logged in.
Actually, since we have a few minutes, there are a few people I've never met. Actually, I've been to several IOC meetings and I've not met a large number of you. I've not met Radhika Burman. I've not met Mario Di Penna. Then Mr. Batra I've not met. Poonamji I've not met. Itisha, of course, is a dear friend. John is a dear. Jennifer I've never met. And Frida I've only seen on and Geeta ji. Hello, Geeta ji. Arfat. Bismi, of course, I've interacted with her on both Facebook and Twitter. And Dr. Ajit, of course, is my dear friend for many years. Rahul ji. There are a lot of new faces, actually. I'm very happy to interact with you. Impression that, look, I'm coming to this place repeatedly So it would over familiarity at your neighbor's doorstep breeds contempt. But actually, there are a lot of new faces.
Brijesh, you're seeing a lot of new faces because one, because we have added up 11 chapters of Idea Congress. So we have ranging from Trivandrum up to Calcutta, and latest chapter we have added is IOC Kannur also. And plus we launched this National Youth Initiative. It is for youth between age of 16 years to 25 years. So a lot of young faces you see here are from the NYI. So the NYI people are going to be our latest offering to the Congress Party to build them up, mentor them up with mentors like you who will probably will have more interactions with them. So, but that has Hima logged in? Yeah. Let me if Hima, I think Hima is logged in now, right?
Yes, yes.
Hima, you can ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Hima. Yes, you are.
So, sir, my question is, should the Congress be accountable for the laws of democratic space and institutions in the last 6 years, or let them sleep away even in the case of unnecessary usage of UAPA and Article 370, the present plight of Kashmir, GST, etc., etc., than fighting in the forefront?
Hima, the way I see it, Hima, is that as far as the opposition is concerned, and we follow the model of a Westminster model, which is of Great Britain, and there, because of that model, the opposition is largely considered to be the barking dog of democracy. And the barking dog, like I think somebody was mentioning, that has to be amplified. And who amplifies that voice, the barking sound? The press amplifies that sound. And two is the courts of the country, they amplify that sound. Civil society amplifies that sound. But somehow, as you know, civil society has been totally emaciated in the country. One, the courts of the country are following a particular path, and I'm saying this with a full sense of responsibility, despite the fact that I practice in the Supreme Court largely, right? And today, it's a very strange kind of scenario that at some point in time, you can go to the market or talk to a few friends, and those few friends will tell you, oh, is judgment to aise hi aani hai. This is how likely to be, right? And invariably, you will find that the judgment is also on the same lines. Can you ever imagine in a democracy where the Prime Minister collects funds for relief towards COVID purposes, and that those funds are declared that they need not be transparent? I've never heard in a democratic country that this kind of a judgment could be passed, but it has been passed. It's the reality of today. So the courts, it's largely stated that the courts go along a particular way. The press, I think, has largely been spoken about because I've intermittently been listening in, and I think the courts are also the media is also completely folded up. So who is amplifying our voice? We are doing our job as a Congress party, as an opposition party. We are doing the job, but who is to amplify that voice? If the voice is not amplified, we how do our barks reach each home? It's simply a question. The point that our bark is not reaching any home. So this is the problem with us.
Thank you, sir.
Siptan, you have a question for Brijesh ji. Itisha, could you please read out his question?
Hello. Yeah. Firstly, let me introduce myself. As Brijesh ji told, I'm not familiar with everyone. I'm Siptan, currently working as Youth Congress Secretary for J&K. So my question will be simply that currently in the within the people, and especially we call as Bhakts, the BJP is going to introduce one party system bill, in the parliament. So what will be the role of our party after that? Let's assume if it happens. So what is going to happen from our party after that?
No, can you repeat the question? If what happens, Sipten?
If one party system bill is introduced, let us assume if one party bill system is introduced in parliament, like in China, it's a single. So what will be the take of Congress after that? Let's assume it happens, as because this is I can say a rumor within the people of India right now.
Well, Sipten, I don't know if that can happen because as far as the present structure is concerned, it's not possible as on today. And because of the election commission, because of the system under Article 16, Section 16 of the Election Commission Act, the political party can be registered, and registered political parties are also recognized. And there are a whole host of recognized political parties. So I don't think the Election Commission can take some kind of a stand like this without consulting all the recognized political parties. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, not feasible. But of course, this government, as you know, they can take any kind of decision. But to my mind, I don't think the Supreme Court is so powerless and so totally finished that they're going to accept a decision like this. I can only hope that they don't. And but there are otherwise, besides the fact that the government can do anything, the fact that we have ruled for nearly 70 years, 65 years, has put in some systems and checks and balances which can ensure that this one party kind of thing doesn't come. And although it's hypothetical, I think I feel confident that this kind of a decision can't be taken just like that.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Nikisha, can you please read the next question?
It's mine, I think, Jennifer.
Yes. Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Please go.
Yeah, hi. Dr. Brijesh, this is Jennifer from Mumbai. My question is that INC needs to sensitize youth to differentiate between religion and state. Barring Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Tharoor, too many INC leaders sent mixed signals that day on Bhumi Pujan, going into worship mode. Politics can never be about one's religious beliefs, which should only reflect the kind of human being you are. Our constitution, in my opinion, was delivered a death blow that day, and it is necessary to counter it very soon.
Jennifer ji, I largely agree with you because I am basically an atheist, so I don't really believe in any religion one way or another. But I also have to tell you that I sometimes listen to some bhajans. It somehow helps me. I feel good. Once or twice, a week, I try to listen to a couple of bhajans. One. Two, I also like to listen to the azan. Strangely enough, that also fills me with a lot of peace. And whenever I listen to something from the church, I really benefit from that. So I genuinely like all religions, right? But that is me. That is me. And just like that was me, Pandit Nehru also had a particular concept. He also did not believe in organized religion that way. But his daughter, Indira ji, was a devout Hindu. And above him, Mahatma Gandhi was a devout Hindu, right? So the point is that you can't take away your personality away from the politics you do, because even Mahatma Gandhi, he uttered the words of Hey Ram, right? And for instance, Digvijay Singh ji, as far as to the best of my knowledge, is a very devout Hindu, right? So there are people who profess their religion and there are people who don't profess their religion. But the point is, largely in our country, what I practice independently in my home, privately, is none of anybody's business, right? But if I'm going to insist that everybody does the same, then there's a problem. Or follows the same path that I do, then there's a problem. Otherwise, I think if somebody is going to say that, look, I really appreciate Ram Lalla coming and pays obeisance to Ram Lalla, personally, I don't find a problem with that.
Okay, it just doesn't need to get overplayed. And certainly religion has no place in politics, is my view. Like you, I enjoy all the various forms of it.
Rahul, can we have your question, please?
Hello, Brijesh ji. This is Rahul Manoj Kumar from Bangalore. My question is, how are we going to deal with, I would like to quote B team of BJP like BSP, AP, Asaduddin Owaisi, all those who seem to have indirectly support the BJP's views by opposing our party stand. They are actually portraying that they are against the BJP ideology, but they support their views by opposing our party stand. What is your take on that?
Rahul, I'm though you're also from Bengaluru, but I'm glad you asked this question. See, there is an organization called the SDPI, and currently we have had a very serious situation in Bengaluru just this month. Agitators went out of control. They burned the house of a Congress MLA, and they set fire to his house, and 3 people were killed in the clashes and then police firing. Now, the moment this began, everybody was it was, I think, largely consensual that everybody felt that the people behind this were the SDPI and the PFI, right? Now the question is that why are the SDPI and the PFI not banned in this country for the last 6 years, despite the fact that we have a prime minister with a 56-inch chest who says that he doesn't like the AIM, he doesn't like the PFI, he doesn't like the SDPI. Why are these organizations not banned? Now the question is very simple, that does the PFI, SDPI, or of the AIMIM, does it help the BJP or does it help the Congress party? Because the Congress party is only benefited if there is complete amity in society, if there is complete communal harmony. This is the basic principle on which the Congress party relies, that both the Hindus and the Muslims or the Christians have to see eye to eye, and they have to have complete understanding with each other. Only then the Congress party benefits. But the Hindus and the Muslims are angry with each other. It's either the SDPI which benefits or the BJP which benefits. So is it not in the interest of the BJP to keep these organizations afloat? Now, can I ask a simple question? AIMIM, which has one MP, is able to put in places like in Bihar, in Uttar Pradesh, and to the extent of 1,000 crore is their electoral spending, if not from the BJP. So it's obvious that certain parties which are being funded by the BJP by showing that they're otherwise enemies, that there were 2 shops right opposite each other, both said the filthiest things to each other, right? One shopkeeper used to come and say, look, his clothes are all substandard, and the other fellow used to say, look, his clothes are substandard, and regular fights. It was found some 70 years later that there was a tunnel connecting both of these shops, and both of them were brothers. And this is a true story, and this is a true story of what is happening with the BJP, the PFI, SDPI, and the AIMIM. As far as the BSP is concerned, then you know that there are certain other events which can influence a BSP decision. But as far as these parties are concerned, these are all being parties, and they also go along a certain path for a particular reason.
Thank you, Brijesh.
Itisha, can we have a question for you? Last question.
Yeah, hi. I'm there online. Dr. Ajit, you have to mute yourself, please.
Sorry?
You have to mute yourself. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, Brijesh ji. I will take up Shantanu Basu's question. He's a political analyst. He's also one of our members from IOC Main. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's also one of our task force member. He's a very avid social media warrior as well. So I'll go ahead with this question on his behalf. The Gandhi family has referred to their sacrifices at various times, giving a sense of entitlement to them to rule India directly and indirectly. Supporting their ambition is an old guard that has cost ink dear in many states, the most recent being MP and Rajasthan, the latter by a whisper. Why does the ink not allow more down to earth and professionally qualified leaders to lead the party that has otherwise gone into near oblivion? What steps is ink taking to identify fresh leaders without political parental lineage to graduate beyond being keyboard warriors and TV panelists? I ask because I see none aside from Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
No, this is a very good question, and I think this is something which is on many people's minds. But let me ask a counter question. How much does the BJP spend in creating WhatsApp messages, in creating other memes of Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, and the Gandhi family and the Nehrus? How much does it spend on an annual basis? My, I think just an informal assessment is that they are spending about 100 crore. Why are they spending this amount of money? They are spending this money to kill a brand, right? And we are very willingly saying that, look, okay, we'll hand over a brand and walk away. Is that something which is acceptable? The Gandhis are a brand, and whether they are somebody who everybody, they stand for something. First of all, the Gandhis stand for something. When you go to any village, even in Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh, when you speak about Indira Gandhi stands for something. Is it very easy to, supposing, let's assume for a moment that instead of Rahul Gandhi, somebody else were presented and brought as the Indian National Congress president, how much would we have to spend? How much effort would we have to take to introduce him to the villages of India, to introduce him to the various towns of India? Here we have somebody who's accepted, one, two, who has we have a track record in between 2004 and 2000. Our economy boomed. We brought about 15 crore people out of the clutches of grinding poverty. So we did all this, right? So Rahul Gandhi stands for something. Now, you say just because the BJP is spending 100 crore annually to besmirch his reputation, and we say, okay, we have had enough of Rahul Gandhi and we go away. I don't think that makes any sense to any of us, right? This is the first thing. And as far as bringing in newer faces is concerned, that process actually began with Rahulji. In fact, if I were given a chance in 2013 to come and represent the Congress party on national television, that began as an exercise by Rahul Gandhi, right? So he's really essentially trying to bring in newer, fresher faces. So what's the harm in actually trusting him and going ahead with him? One, two, and to, like I think somebody said earlier, to really push his message through, because ultimately you have to take it for granted. 65 years, we have had very hostile regimes, several of them extremely hostile, including VP Singh in 1989, including Morarji Desai and Charan Singh in between 77 and 80, including the Vajpayee regime earlier. Extremely hostile regimes. There has been nothing that the opposition could clutch on to against the Gandhi family. There has been nothing. So they have ruled for 55 years, and still the BJP or the other parties have not been able to get anything substantial to say that, look, these are the wrongdoings of the Gandhi family.
Very well answered, Dr. Brijesh ji. In fact, we have various verticals like AIPC and Pawan Khera ji, who does not come from political background, including yourself. I think we've all evolved, and we all are professionals in this platform of IOC as well. Thank you, Brijesh ji. Just to add on to the profile of Shantanu Basu, he is actually a former civil servant, public policy analyst, and author of 2 books as well. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much, and all the very
Brijesh, I think Sanjeev Batra has a question to ask.
Yeah.
Sanjeev, the floor is open because we have a bit of time, about 4 minutes left. So we should not let Brijesh go off before the time. If somebody has a question to ask, please do ask. Floor is open.
If you can, Doctor, if you can unmute yourself, thank you. Brijesh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sanjeev Batra. I'm part of I head the AIPC chapter, one of the chapters in Mumbai. And so I'm associated with the Congress as well. Don't you think that, like in the BJP, especially on social media like Twitter and all, if Congress leaders who have number of followers follow other people, it can, I mean, from the Congress party within, it would lead to a crescendo of voices and carry more weight on social media, which I don't see happening.
I agree. And I will follow as many of you as I can remember.
Right. So, we'd like to follow and we'd like some more traction on social media because our tweets are intelligent, they are smart, but we don't have the followers. So we want to, and we are stridently anti-BJP and anti-Modi. So, that's the thing. So that's what I thought I would just ask you.
So I'll follow as many of you as I can remember.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a question from YouTube. Will Letitia please read it out?
Sure. Brijesh ji, this is from YouTube. Job Burgess has asked from YouTube. The question is, the BJP has a sinister plan to capture every state election or ouster every non-BJP state. What is Congress doing towards these ulterior agendas in Chhattisgarh, Punjab, Pondicherry and Rajasthan?
See, let me be very clear in what the BJP's agenda is. One is that they are losing elections. They have lost several elections. Of course, they won a national election in 2019. But they've been losing every state election, whichever they contested, right? So this is a matter of concern for the BJP. Now, what is the BJP looking at? BJP is looking at 2024. In 2024, they want to somehow circumvent this democratic process, buy MLAs from every political party, and have governments of the BJP installed in every state. And when they go to elections in 22, 23, 24, they want to tell the people of India that, look, where is the Congress? Look at the national political map of India. Where is the Congress party? Don't waste your vote on the Congress party. Rather, you vote for the BJP, right? For which they are willing to spend any amount of money, any amount of, I don't know if you're aware, but there are the Yediyurappa tapes. In the Yediyurappa tapes, Yediyurappa clearly tells a prospective buyer, a prospective seller, that is an MLA, that look, don't worry about the courts. Amit Shah ji will take care of the courts. How much do you want? Do you want 25 crore? Do you want 50 crore? Name your price, we'll give it to you, right? So these are the Yediyurappa tapes, and these are, I think, something which all of you should read. So this is the thinking test, right? And ultimately, how do we deal with it when we don't have the IT, we don't have the income tax department in our hand, we don't have the ED, we don't have the policing structures in our hand, we don't have the courts, right? We don't have access to the courts. Now, when this is there, we are facing a problem, and because of this problem we are facing, we will find solutions like what happened in Rajasthan, right? So over time, just like in the very beginning, you will all remember that the Congress party had zero presence. But today our social media presence is quite awesome, right? Just like that, every trick the BJP employs, we will master, and we will really leave them with a bloody nose. So this is our objective, and this is something which we are doing. So we will leave them with a bloody nose. And as far as 24 is concerned, I can assure you that in the days to come, the Congress party will become better and better. And I personally am convinced that we will come to power in 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brijesh. So there's no more question. We are winding up the session with the national spokespersons of the Congress party. Thank you so much, Brijesh. Thank you so much for valuable Sunday with us. I know you are a family man and you value spending your time with them, but you have taken time off to be with us. Thank you once again from our heart, and look forward to interaction with you more with our National Youth Initiative members too.
Brijesh, I would
Thank you.
for
Bye bye.
coming in early, listening to all the entire session. I'm really thank you so much.
Thank you, Brijesh ji.
I think Brijesh is moved. Shankar, I think you can stop the live recording now. Shankar, can you hear me?
Okay, sir. Done.
Yeah, you can stop the live recording for YouTube